Saturn is a darker planet due to its physical light being dimmer from our perspective compared to the other visible planets. It is considered a malefic because of this, causing challenges to shape us and even misfortune. Those born during the night can struggle more with the planet, while people born during the day could see more constructive effects. Saturn often becomes kinder over time, as it can come to signify the passing of time itself, as it is the slowest of the visible planets. Those who wish to move quickly or accomplish faster will find Saturn taxing and burdensome. Because it takes 28 to 29 years for the planet to complete a journey in the sky, we often see segments of time linked to Saturn by 7, 14, or even 28 years. When it is very strong in someone's birth chart, these are the increments that important events often take place. It is a very common phenomenon that at 28 years old, people experience their first Saturn return when life finally begins to stabilize or have a serious and somber change that can feel permanent. Saturn tends to be restrictive and critical. It's a harsh judgment and the dogma of religion. It is the regulation of society and authority, but it is also very healthy in doses. Without boundaries, we are vulnerable to others and potential scams or manipulation. Without rules like wearing a seatbelt in the car, the cost could be very great. Saturn can be trauma and misfortune, but it is often what we know and familiar, and there is the feeling of reliability in what we know. Because Saturn prefers security and the familiar, it is often essential in synastry for a long-term relationship. It is partially the sentimentality that urges someone to hold on to a relationship even after someone has hurt them. It goes beyond the needs and feelings of the moon and is the choice to remain together for better or for worse. This can be unhealthy as a couple chooses to stay together even when they hurt each other, and don't work to fix it. It could also be helpful and the reason that the couple decides to go to counseling or therapy. The sun is bright and warm, the opposite of Saturn's cold darkness, but the two can balance each other and actually pair well in some circumstances. A conjunction between Saturn and the sun between two people could feel like the Saturn person is disapproving of the sun person's overall identity, ego, and ambition. But there are also many insights the critical Saturn can offer the sun. It might not be pleasant at first, but over time Saturn helps build a foundation with the sun. They can guide them in an honest way that others may fear to do, and show them how to create healthy boundaries. The sun person can also show Saturn their fears and allow them to work on generational pain that was passed down. There is a potential for the sun to gradually wear down under the criticism and scrutiny if they feel like they can't do anything right. Saturn can also not feel safe when it is confronted with its own harsh, cold reality. A lot of flowing aspects would be helpful for a couple with a Sun-Saturn conjunction. A sextile is much more helpful for Saturn and the Sun. It takes time to become constructive for each other, but perhaps less time than the conjunction. They know that they are different, but they aren't so different in a sextile that they can't meet in the middle. With effort, Saturn provides security for the Sun, and the Sun provides encouragement for Saturn. This is easier for a couple to build a life together, compromise where necessary, and to learn from each other's management styles. The trine is really wonderful here because it bridges the gap in the Saturn and Sun differences nearly effortlessly. Saturn still likes to work, and so it may just be enough tension to still get things accomplished, when trines can typically become unproductive with other planets. The Sun feels very supported and encouraged by Saturn, and Saturn feels seen in a good way by the Sun. Healthy boundaries are in place, and this aspect can foster trust. The square between Saturn and Sun is one of the tougher aspects. The two could potentially come to understand one another, but it could be a long, hard road. Saturn is especially harsh and critical to the Sun, and the Sun is likely to run away or clash bitterly with them. This relationship can be especially prone to sour over time if other harsh synastry exists. Both planets are authoritative, and so there may be a harsh parental energy even in a romantic relationship with this combination. In Saturn's sphere, they can seek control over the Sun, exacting boundaries that are much too harsh and actually violate the Sun's sense of security in self and ego. The desire for admiration and encouragement is not met, and the Sun can lose faith in itself and even feel physically drained. If more flowing synastry is paired with this aspect, it can help understanding develop over time and maybe allow Saturn to become a more stable space for the Sun, while the Sun can become more reassuring and cautious for Saturn. The opposition between these two planets may clash at times, but it is less likely to last so long and be so demanding. The two have to balance each other, but do not find each other quite so offensive as they can in the square. Saturn must try to relinquish control from time to time and loosen up to encourage the Sun. The Sun must also try to make Saturn feel safe and validated and respect its limits. When the two form and in conjunction between two charts, there is not common ground and it can be a little bit uncomfortable. At the same time, clashes happen less frequently, especially outside the 3-degree orb. There is a bit of subtle, cold disapproval that the Sun may still feel from Saturn, and Saturn may also get a strange sneaking intimidation or insecurity about the Sun. But it is less likely to be as dramatic power struggle as harsher aspects can become. I hope you found this video helpful. If you liked it, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe. Please stay tuned for more Synastry, and as always, thank you so much for watching.